Welcome to our palate cleanser open mic. We've had some really good features the last couple of weeks, and we're gonna slow it down a little bit before we not only gear up for next week's final feature of March, which is who is Linda Carney Goodrich. But we're also going to be prepping up for National Poetry Month. I'd like to have a feature every week. I think I'm moving towards that as we inch closer and closer to the 53rd anniversary of Stone Soup Poetry in May. What will we be doing then? Well, let's find out. Probably at the same time. Anyway, I'll let you know when I know. But thank you guys very much for coming. I'm going to cut off the ums and the uhs for the rest of the night, I promise. Let's go now to the first person as selected by our Ramdonator 5000. It has selected Mr. Ken Johnson.
I like the way you start with the best. Good choice, my friend. So, where did it go? I have these things somewhere. There we are. And so I've been writing about my poor departed Christine again. So, second half, I got a funner one, a Halloween one. But no, you guys are going to have to suffer with this for now. As soon as I can get it to stay up. There we go. It was ever known that she would die. Even if love is immortal, the love a lover loves is not. And all the details are unimportant, for words are worthless when in flight a spirit falls. No longer someone to pin a tack to, she has become that creatrix of my longing, that nothing, which is the essence of a ghost who bears the makeup and wears the dress of she who was my life's one passion, who now composes many roles. She is the lustful offering of unrequited love, ever out of reach. She is the muse evoking the tinge of inspiration, only to depart in my grasp of empty air. She is the personification of nature, wilderness, perfection, without the song of reason. And she is that fetch, deceiving me that here she is, my love, and not a dream. She has also become that opiate, the invocation of addiction, her endemic return to sensate form through known illusion, preferring her embodiment despite her unprocurable resurrection, as the sight of her brings tearful joy when in these flights, again and again, these dizzying flights of spirit to spirit, longing for the warmth of carnal touch. Would that I might stay too long, forget life must resume. As spirit to spirit would we dance on, let tearful joy consume. Kleenex, anyone?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ken. Let's see what I'm going to go to next. The Remdinator doesn't want to go too silly, though with this group we may not have any choice. Let's go now to Mr. Bill Lewis. God, what have I done?
You must apologize. I must apologize. I was busy writing down notes. When I have a notebook, as many people do, and I occasionally like to just jot down bits of poems and thoughts of what everybody's doing. So I was busy scribbling away. And so there are my students with some of their camels. Those are our camels. That's what you do with camels. You put things on camels and you walk around, and then you herd camels. You just put them out to the desert where they can eat, and you walk around. The kids make sure that they don't wander too far, and then you herd them back up, and you protect them from lions. And then occasionally you slaughter a camel and eat them. And so I have eaten a great deal of camel meat in my life. And it tastes very much like camel. If you've ever eaten camel, that's what it tastes like. But camel was 4 shillings a kilo. Beef was 5 shillings. And goat was 6. Goat and sheep were both more expensive, 6 shillings a kilo. Have I drunk camel milk? No. I have certainly had camel milk yogurt, because on all of the dishes, the classic Somali dish, this is the border of Somalia and Ethiopia and Kenya, where I am. And on the border there, the classic dish is rice and camel meat and some vegetables and camel yogurt. And it's great. And you use your right hand only, of course, and you reach in with your right hand, you grab some rice or perhaps a potato, something solid that you roll up with your hand, you dip it in the yogurt a little bit, get a little bit wet, you make a ball out of it, a scoop out of it, you scoop up some meat and maybe some vegetables, and then you eat it like this. And then you go back and keep going. There's one big platter, and don't be late. So oh. Yellow, yellow, orange, and yellow, creeping slowly across the grass, from one blade to another in bunches. It creeps and grows, smiles and licks across the way and grows. It's excited. Now it's time. It pushes against the wind, which tries to blow it back, but no, it wants to move. It wants to live. It wants to consume. There are bushes in front of it. Tansy, oh, that beautiful, tall, gray, dark, brown, dry tansy. Climbing slowly up the stalks, it tries and tries. A big bush, slowly, it doesn't burn, it melts, it falls over. And bit by bit, those delicious, wonderful, scrumptious seeds fall onto the ground, and the oil bubbles and explodes. And a huge ball of fire explodes from each of the tansy bushes as they reach that critical point, and you shield your face and stand back, but you don't, it's still too beautiful. You have to watch. And it creeps again across the grass. And across the grass, and some more tansy, and not too much, and you tamp it with your shovel not to let it go. It forms a nice fire block as it goes down the hill away from the house, pushing itself into the wind until it hits a path, and 2 feet. Certainly it can make 2 feet, a mere 2 feet. A flame like this has power, it has desire, it has worn itself out. Oh, it was a nice flame. We did our part. Oh, those seeds, those seeds are going to pop, and there will be beautiful tansy everywhere because of our efforts as the blades of fire to give life again to the grass. And that, that path is so wide. No, I have done my thing. I've spent my energy. Now it is time for me to sleep. I lay back and smolder and smolder, and now I don't even smolder anymore. I lay black and gray and quiet.
Thank you, Bill. Up next, I'd like to bring in Mr. Richard Spizak. And also thank him, and also thank him for the artwork that we used in essay this past Monday at Audubon Magazine. Check out his work.
Glad to be of service. Okay, I've got I've got a poem for you regarding a literary lizard. Here we go. Literary lizard, lizards against the sky. He may be humbug hunting, but I know why. I once had a lizard hitchhiker who rode with me to the library. He rode all the way, he was no piker. And when we arrived for the reading, down he hopped with a kind of enthusiasm as if he was heading for some breeding. He waited on a nearby tree and waited patiently and munched a bug or two or three. And as I re-entered my car to leave, he scampered away. So I perceived, perhaps into the forest of grass, a new adventure, free of concern, now cleared of all censure. What might he learn? He was exploring my windshield as I prepared to leave. Should the cute little fellow fall, I would surely grieve. It was a 20-minute drive. I hoped the winds and waves would not brush and prove him grave. Traveling down the busy highway, I watched him closely, watching the wind buffet him as I drove away from home. His prospects were grim. The wind pushed as he struggled across the windshield toward some rest. He reached the edge on the driver's side and suddenly leapt to the mirror and climbed inside. He climbed in behind the mirror to escape the wind as it raced all over in its furor. He made it all the way with me to the library parking lot and then was free. I parked at the wild edge of the library parking lot, surrounded by grass in the shade of a tree. So when he jumped, he could hide in the grass as long as he needed for the excitement to pass. Down he leapt into the tall grass and disappeared from me. Maybe he might climb a nearby tree. The literary lizard stayed to see me off. Before he launched his next adventure, I waved and softly coughed. And when I returned after our poetry reading, he was still there on the tree, munching possibly ants or maybe beetling. I waved goodbye in salutation and left him climbing the tree to regain his previous elevation. Thank you.
Woohoo! Oh, that was wonderful. Go lizards. Go Liz. Or
Go
got to be-
Lizards. Thank you, Richard. And now we're gonna bring up poet, activist, fellow Labyrinth walker, alongside James Van Looy, Miss Jan Rowe.
Hi, I wrote this yesterday at Black Seed Writers. No prisons for profit. A Trinidadian committed suicide in solitary at the largest private prison, Geo Group, listed on the stock market with other private prisons, CoreCivic, that lobby for longer lockups to get more money. Both prison guards and prisoners prefer state or federal prisons. Staffing and food are better. Prisoners are crowded into private prisons for more money. So a Trinidadian is able to commit suicide in solitary. What? No one-to-one as mandated by the Department of Mental Health for someone in solitary? Well, that might affect the profits. What's worse, a Trump-appointed judge will not let investigators in to investigate how someone in solitary suicided. However, in Tacoma, Washington, site of the largest private prison, the banner outside Geo Group's biggest Northwest ICE processing center, the banner is unavoidable because it's 4 foot high times 30 foot long, promulgating the death of this Trinidadian and saying shut down private prisons for profit. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. We'll now turn our attention to Mr. Jeff Taylor.
Thank you, Chad. I've got a short one here I just wrote today. Can you guys hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
This one is called Saudi Arabia is buying sports teams around the globe. It's easy to make friends if you like sports. You can talk to anybody about that shit and have a nice conversation about it. The same can't be said about human rights. Thanks. Yeah, that's all I got for this round.
Okay, gotcha. Boom. All right, let's go now to Let's go to Mr. John Wezick.
Thank you. I will read to you from the Guacamole ad. Sing, goddess, the wrath of Peleus' son wane, at avocados brown with corruption that gave their flesh not to tacos but to vultures and wild dogs, and how the will of Zuck was accomplished by the bitter rancor between Atreus' son and the swift-footed Wain, pacifier of picky diners. 9 long hours the waitstaff toiled at Persephone's quinceanera, clad in thick-soled shoes and knee-length aprons the color of the screen-saver sacred to Zuck, Doug, son of Tydeus, Michael, stacker of chairs, Wiley Oliver, son of Laertes, and blameless Pat Rockless, could not equal swift-footed Wayne in carrying plates of enchiladas and green pumpkin seed mole, cochinita pibil marinated in annatto and orange juice, ceviche, empanadas, golden fried, tortas, and milanesas. After the guests left well sated, after the plates were ferried away, after the tablecloths folded and the sweat-stained bow ties loosened, swift-footed Wayne, pacifier of picky diners, strode forward to claim the spoils from the tip jar that were justly his. Not so fast, son of Peleus. Al Fresco, son of Atreus, and purveyor of the 3 martini lunch, intercepted him. These riches go for overhead. Swift-footed Wayne looked darkly on him. O shameless grifter, how shall any of the waitstaff follow you, who never ferried beer to drunken frat boys, wiped a table, nor returned an overcooked steak? I did not come here for the honor of carrying your trays, but for the prizes won by my sweat and endurance. Arrogant son of Peleus, the purveyor of the 3 martini lunch replied, what do you know of health inspectors, filing forms omega-2 and filling out schedules gamma at the end of the fiscal year? If you feel so wrong, take these avocados. When mashed with sea salt from the wine-dark Aegean, lime from the sunny slopes of Mount Tlaloc, and onions from the rich red soil of Vidalia, you will feast like Zuck, son of Cronus, and gatherer of yelps. Swift-footed Wayne halved an avocado with his bronze blade, expecting flesh green as the olive fields of Lemnos. Instead, he found it black as the deepest pit of Tartarus. These are worthless. The pacifier of picky diners tossed them to the carpet. Can it be that heroic Wayne, who boasts of back-to-back shifts on the feast of Saint Valentine, trembles at a little oxidation? Said the son of Atreus. They're perfectly fine. Vile Al Fresco, who never felt the weight of an apron, nor the yoke of a bow tie, you so dishonor me with these vile vegetables, I shall withdraw to my studio apartment near Normandy, and not return until you apologize at my knees. Go then. There are plenty others who aspire to the grandeur of my 2-for-1 specials, and they're fruits, not vegetables. To be continued.
Bravo! Bravo!
Join us for the second half of the open mic.
State Asylum.
And now, I was just reading the chat. And now let's go to Generalissimo Brian Franco.
Okay. Thank you, Chad. Um, why the denizens of the East River prefer Jewish cuisine? When my grandmother died, I shoveled a little dirt onto her lowered casket. A year later, when her headstone was erected, I placed a stone atop the grave. The same happened after the deaths of my father, mother, uncles, and aunts. When I revisit their graves, I always place new stones atop graves. The last time I was in Alabama was 3 or 4 years after my mom's death. When my oldest brother wanted to go to the cemetery, I informed him I wanted to go by myself. I found new stones in a bowl in the cemetery gazebo. I placed one each on my parents' graves. I then went back to the gazebo for a few more to place on a few other graves. This ritual of mourning feels like a sigh after a breath long held. When I put a new stone onto a grave, it feels like something new, despite that no stone on earth is new. Every stone onto a grave, memory that person comes to the surface at the moment. That can induce laughter, or tears, or silence, or even a conversation with the dearly departed. I have expressed to my brothers my desire to be cremated and have my ashes dropped into the East River from the Randall's Island walking bridge that overlooks where I used to jog when I lived in New York City, a place where I felt a sense of zen, if zen is even possible for someone like me. And maybe people who know I opted to be fish food rather than buried will take the time to climb the stairs to the Randall's Island walking bridge to drop a tiny rock to where my soul might finally find its zen. Would it be okay if I read one more quick piece? Chad?
Go right ahead.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me, waiter, do you have the pie with the flies inside? I'm in the mood for shoe fly pie with plenty of flies. When you your friends with coconut cream inside, with every smile laden bite, they leave you alone. Tell all the other flies and even alert the mosquitoes. Mosquito and green tomato cheddar pie is a savory pie that tastes too good to be true. The crust can be traditional or graham cracker. Place thin sliced super extra sharp white cheddar cheese over the crust. Top it with slices of tart green underripe tomatoes. Sprinkle a mix of allspice, cardamom, and brown sugar atop the tomatoes. Then layer like lasagna 2 or 3 times. Top with pumpkin and sunflower seeds over the top layer of cheese. Bake under foil, then remove the foil for 5 minutes so the cheese gets broily browny and seeds get toasty tasty. Then dig into this addictive delight. Baked mosquitoes are said to taste like ground Sichuan peppercorns. Thank you. I'll have to put it in the chat, but on the 30th, which is a week from this coming up Saturday, I'll be featuring with Marissa Prada and Edith Blackbird at Brownstone, and that is something that you do have to register for.
Awesome. Thanks so much
So
for
I'll
letting
get
us
that
know. Definitely do that. Thank you so much. And any of our regular, irregular venue hosts out there, if there's anything coming up in the next week or so, definitely let us know. I'm thinking about Jeff Taylor, of course, John Wesick with his fiction gathering. But anyway, let's move now to Robert Fleming, our visual poet.
Did I use the share screen, Chad? Thank you. Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware. And I'm going to start by sharing a sequence of one-line poems, which I published in 3 literary magazines, which welcomes one-line poems, Data Coup, 1-sentence poem, and 4 Fleas. Drive-in movie truths revealed. 50-foot woman delivery at the drive-in movie concession stand. The concession stand ketchup is blood. The blood bank blood is ketchup. The blob is 200 grape Jell-O packages. Godzilla is the third cousin, once removed through marriage, of King Kong. The pods from outer space are from Saturn. The drive-in movie speaker broadcast human surveillance to Mercury. And last week on Stone Soup, Don Fisher King was the feature. He is the editor of Four Feathers Press. The next submission for Four Feathers Press is called Flowers, and this was my submission for that magazine. The first one is a visual image of a cactus with flowers, and the second one is more of a surrealistic image. It's called Bluish, and I do have my flower, which is a blue rose. Thank you and greetings from Delaware.
Thank you, Robert. And now a musical interlude before our final participant in the first round of the round robin. Let's go to Mr. Ethan Meckler. Thank you, Ethan. We're joined by someone else, but before we get to our new participant, let's go now to Mr. James Van Loy and check out his column, It's All One Thing. His poem column, I should say, It's All One Thing. Published every Thursday at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. It's Mr. James Van Loy.
Thanks, Chad. So I have a piece here called It's All Broken, or Do Your Own Research. I'm not supposed to keep picking up pieces to make the big picture news film from the other end of 4 generations molding of the cultural convulsion, where I find my great-grand's cousin smack in the far middle Netherlands of the Tactiga-Jaraga Oorlog, that is the 80-year war, that left way behind the Remonstraten and the Contra-Remonstraten, the forceful protest and counter-protest that made the tolerant Dutch homeland a place ever so verdeeled and verscheered, divided and cut up for many long centuries. Supposedly, my grandparents, when married, both were excommunicated just because he was a Protestant and she a Catholic, according to my dad, who understood but could not speak Netherlands' tall language. I now attempt to understand the printed version of Cousin's novel, discovering the culture war he knew as U.S. stumbles over one long litany of evils of European culture war, cut off in its whiteness from sense of how we got to this awful place where our own land is divided and cut to pieces, verdeeled and versured through all the old scapegoat, blood libel, troll, your boat, tragic tropes. Hello, darkness, oh, old friend. I've come to talk with you again because of visions softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. Turned my collar to the cold and damp when my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and troubled the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never share. No one dare disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach out to you. My words like silent raindrops fall and echoed in wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to that neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was for me. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls, tenement halls, and whisper the sound of silence, and whisper the sound of silence. Thank you. The thing about the cobble streets always reminds me of Beacon Hill. Thank you.
Definitely. And I bring you now to Jillian Matthews to close out this first round of a round robin. There. Hello.
We share screen. Alphabet. She taught me the alphabet at home in pencil drawings. The A was the Eiffel Tower, like the keychain souvenir she gifted me from a tour of Paris. The B was a butterfly wing. The I, a stem of a dandelion. The J, an umbrella handle. The O, a tortoise. The S, a snake. The T, a mast of a sailboat. The U, a magnet. I remember how we eventually drifted, the years pulling us apart. The letters that never got sent, how time flitted and floated away in the wind, how the unsaid words betrayed us, shed their skins and crept away, how we crawl now, wrinkled necks poking out from shells every now and then to ask, "Are you well?" When I finally got to Paris as an adult with my adult son, the crowds and the heat put us off and we chose not to climb it. Instead, we lay on the grass and unpacked our sandwiches as the trinket sellers waved tiny replicas in our faces. They reminded me of the A's I drew as a child, the real one looming now in the midday sun. I turned to him, trying to recall when or how I taught him the alphabet, and whether any left an imprint as large as the tower in front of us. But the only A's that came to mind are that of the recovering alcoholic and the recovering addict. The A's we left behind. Two pilgrims bonding over a meal, squinting under a cloudless Parisian sky without shades, no umbrellas. I watched as he looked up and chewed, his mouth curled up in a big C, lying on its back. Thank you.
Thank you, Jillian. Welcome back. We're starting up the round robin, second and final round for tonight. If someone doesn't want to go, just let me know. But it looks like everyone's got work to spare. So I'll go back to Mr. Ken Johnson. Who needs to unmute himself? He really needs to unmute himself.
Am I unmuted now?
You're unmuted.
Thank you for prompting me. Oh, so yeah, I'm gonna save the Halloween poem for Halloween. You guys are getting another one about this one's about my fear of dating someone because I haven't dated anyone since Christine died. So that's been on my mind. I call this Sonnet 217 because I started writing it on February 17th and just finished it today. Do not withdraw if now you see me cry, or when the dew forms in my loving eye. It's just my way of making room in here within my heart, because now you are near. You found this skirt in a thrift shop. You'd know it is a bargain and buy it. Then come and sport about in it for me. But gifted, you'd think it of her I want. Must I clean the closets of my full heart, decide of which held beauty I must part, to make in me more space for beating love, for the newness I've found just now in you? Please stay that urge to run away and flee, and just for now, hold here with all of me. I always feel like holding a daffodil, like what's his name would do, Oscar Wilde, when I read crap like this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ken. Up next, with the return of Mr. Bill Lewis, aka James Masson, aka fill in the blank.
I'm busy dressing. I have to make things beautiful for you. I didn't realize that I would be up so soon. I thought there was somebody else right in
Well, I
front
can
of
have
me.
so I can have someone come in. I
Cool.
can have someone go ahead of you if you want.
Well, it's not exactly like I'm burning to go. I mean, I've got fire on the mind.
for
How
God's
is that?
sakes.
Can you check out my fire? My great flames. Look at those. They're just very gently moving down the hill. Every now and then they'll hit that tangent and go ape shit. That's really cool. And my house is not going to be burned up from a forest fire because there's no fuel around it. So I will feel safer and more secure. And we are going to have the most beautiful crop of tansy after this fire is done. It is going to be the most, oh yeah. If you've ever worked with tansy. Anyway, life is beautiful. I am just barely making it. Oh, my kids, I love my kids. I'm so happy that I get to teach high school over Zoom. This is like the high point of my week is Wednesday and Friday. I spend a ridiculous amount of time preparing my classes, imagining what I'm going to say. How will I say this so the kids will enjoy it and understand what I'm doing? And I rehearse in my mind, but it makes me happy. And it makes them happy, so it can't be too bad. Oh, we are building ourselves a web server. So you can take your web browser and connect to our server and you can see our cool applications. So we're doing cool shit. Let me tell you, this is cool shit. It didn't exist when I was their age. I mean, wait, nothing existed when I was their age. I mean, oh yeah. Well, when you were their age, at least, you know, back in the 70s and 80s, we barely had a network and it was magic. Oh my God, I got to Telnet one time from SRI. I could just Telnet over to MIT and create myself an account. The ITS system was an open system that you could just Telnet there, create your own account. And I had an account on their computer, and probably half of the 1,000 people on the ARPANET had an account at MIT just because you could. And it's like, wow, that's cool. I didn't do anything with it because we had the same computer, but it was that wonderful feeling of openness and safety, and we're a little community. We take care of each other. There was that real feeling of that before the evil internet and all those other people got to be on board. Oh, things went to hell, but that's the way of it. The glorious time, let me tell you, to feel that everyone on the network was your friend, a fellow traveler in the adventure of electronics and computer science. We're all building it together. Mr. Chadford.
Thank you, Bill. And now we go to Mr. Richard Spizak one more time.
Thank you, my friends. I'm going to have my molecules examined later in the week. And this is my little tribute to the PET scan. Positron emission tomography allows the doctor to assess certain parts of your geography that otherwise would not be visible. This of your anatomy, a strategy used as a diagnostic tool, which, as a rule, allows metabolic processes in situ, which might otherwise be obscured and missed by even the best diagnostician's strained vision. Got the gist? They can now see the rest. And as the tracer's trackers dance into place, showing the pace of uptake where the grub stake in the cupboard rests, does it find success or a complicated mess? Does it find changes of the proper kind? No signs of tissue on the men? So fine. Revealing all in a thorough 3D model seems hardly possible. Such technology, techniques, and wisdom amongst a tribe that can hardly seem at time to manage long division. Problems revealed at a cellular level where the ballet of metabolism can be devilishly clever, can find the hot spot where the chemical dyes reveal what bodily processes heal or hooray, or can tell the story of processes deep and now in focus with just a smidgen of subatomic hocus pocus. Right there in your spleen, you know what I mean? And with a series of these studies, processes are revealed, the vision cleared, aiding diagnostic work and aid in treatment. And there's a perk. Thank you, my friends. PET scan.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you again, Richard. And keep getting well. We have now the return of Jan Rowe in the lineup.
There's a poet from our church, and she was asking us for poems, 10 lines or less or something. She wants to put a broadsheet in the church bulletin or something. So I realized, I said, I'm not really a poet. I have a couple of haikus, but then I started this thing. It's called 77. My spouse of 35 years is 77. He's old enough to remember 77 Sunset Strip. Cookie, cookie, loan me your comb. Uvalde, Texas. The good guys with guns. They waited 77 minutes as the 19th child executed. The 376 good guys with guns waited as their bulletproof vest, not good for AR-15s. That's all I have right now. 77.
Keep at it. And now we have, I have on good authority that Jeff Taylor is, oh, wait a minute. Jeff Taylor seems to have left. Said he had to step away, but he's back, but it looks like he stepped away. Too bad. Well, thanks for reading, Jeff, for the first round. Let's go now to Mr. John Wezek.
The guacamole ad continues. What troubles you, my son? Thetis, hairdresser to the gods, asked. It weighs heavy on my heart to see one destined to toil under a mound of college debt the size of Sisyphus's boulder so unhappy. Scheming al Fresco has withheld tips that are rightfully mine, swift-footed Wayne said to his mother. I entreat you to intervene with Zuck, gatherer of yelps, on my behalf. If the gods of cooking book a feast so immense that the son of Atreus begs for my return, the stain on my honor will be removed. Thetis did not forget Wayne's entreaties, so she flew to Mount Baldy to sit beside Zuck, son of Cronos, and take his knees. Lord Zuck, gatherer of yelps, if ever you have looked on me with favor, restore the honor to my son, so burdened by bitter college debt, who has been wronged. Ask the Linear Bee Cafe to hold a feast so taxing that scheming al Fresco pleads with swift-footed Wayne to return. Zuck, gatherer of yelps, pondered for as long as it takes to prepare a proper bolognese before nodding his shaggy head to accede to Thetis's plea. I shall summon winners of bronze chef to a week of feasts on the rocky slopes of Mount Baldy, where al Fresco's Linear Bee Cafe will compete against Priam's kitchen, breakers of diets, to determine whose cuisine reigns supreme. Thus, Fleet-fingered Hermes emailed invitations to the gods of cooking. Hades of the infernal kitchen, Emerald, lord of the rerun, Gray-eyed Alton, Wolfgang, feeder of airports, and Roger, mocker of Jamie. On Al Fresco's behalf, wily Oliver, equal to Zuck in gastronomy, and Doug, pourer of refills, called upon swift-footed Wayne to beseech him to return for the feast. He bid them to recline on the Nagahide couch while he poured libations, sacrificed a bag of tortilla chips, and set out a steaming cauldron of queso dip. After all were satisfied, Oliver, son of Laertes, spoke. Zuck, son of Kronos, has set us a challenge to cater a feast for the gods of cooking. Without your stamina, we will be well pressed to best the breakers of diets. Abandon your quarrel, and all leftovers will belong to you. Antipasto, rumaki, shrimp toast, spring rolls, arugula, asparagus, and hollandaise sauce, roast duck, beef Wellington, and cheesecake will stock your larder, if only you lend your manly vigor to this contest. The son of Peleus denied, saying, I would rather eat packaged ramen than grilled ahi and truffle risotto, seasoned with al fresco's scorn. To be continued.
Very nice. Zuck Gatherer of Yelps is my my favorite. Oh man. Let's go now to Brian Franco.
Thank you very much, Chad. I'll read two short pieces if that's okay. This I'm thinking of maybe entering one of these, I'm not sure which one, into the Whirlpool Flop Humor Poetry Contest. Just get to the top of the page.
Can you
the
can
first
you
is
send
called-
do you have a link for that? Just out of curiosity? I didn't hear that was a thing.
Yeah, I'll find the link. Did Robert?
I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
Thanks, Robert.
The first is called My Apologies for This Poem. Why do I apologize for so many things that don't require apologizing? I apologize for recounting the other things I shouldn't apologize for. When other people apologize for something, I will not hear them, but there's reason for them to apologize to me. How did we become a society of apologists? To be honest, I'm not sure if I'm using the word apologist in its correct connotation, so I apologize if I'm not using the word apologist in its correct connotation. I will not Google the definition of the word apologist. I guess that means I'm lazy. I guess I apologize for being too lazy to Google the definition of apologist. I keep on misspelling apologist with two P's instead of one, and I misspell with one S instead of two. I guess I need to apologize for all my spellings. Oops, I misspelled both words again. I apologize. And the next one is called Upon Arbitrarily Running into an Ex at Trader Joe's. One day, while squeezing persimmons at Trader Joe's, I espied a former lover of whom I hadn't seen in decades, of whom hadn't invaded my thoughts in decades, of whom had escaped my sleeping dreams over a decade ago, of whom broke my heart by surgically removing it with words that served as scalpel. This former lover walked over to me decades later and touched my shoulder lightly. This former lover dared look me in the eye and said, hello, long time no see. This former lover said, should we grab a hot cup of Lapsang Souchong and catch up? As if invoking my tea of choice from the past would not raise long dormant emotional keloids in my memory, I said, no. So if anybody has any thoughts on which poem to enter to this contest, a lot of people have told me they really think that last one is very funny, although I never thought of it as overly funny. Just the first line I think is funny, but that's anyways. That's
Sometimes you got in doubt, go with cerebral humor.
Brian, I thought the first one was funnier.
okay. But the second one is more cerebral.
I think.
Okay.
which isn't
But I
funny.
can't remember the last time I won a contest, so don't, I'm not the, my might not be the best judge.
That contest is a very when you that it's different every year how the types of things that they choose with the
Mhm.
different and they also go for a lot longer poems than I usually write or try to enter. So who knows?
Good luck.
You know, the Bulwer Lytton contest is really great too. If I put a link to that one in the chat as well.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks. And now, speaking of Robert Fleming, let's thanks for the link, Robert, and let's go back to you.
Thank you. So I will share my entry for the Wurgle Flomped Humor Poetry Contest this year. I broke one of my publication rules, which is after 3 rejections, I don't submit again. So this is my 4th year entering the contest. Father Knows Best 2023 reunion show. 10 3/4 pound burgers with plain bun, no mayo, oodles of ketchup. Kathy, if you talk while eating or eat while talking, you're done. Don't try to upsell me takeout window dudette. Just burgers. Don't fuck up. Betty, if you go to the bathroom, you must come back to the table. Be a grown-up. James Jr., eat what's on your plate. You're not getting something else, son. 10 3/4 pound burgers with plain bun, no mayo, oodles of ketchup. No phones at the table. No screaming. Don't call daddy asshole. Shut up. Andersons, can we eat a family meal together without rules? Junior, give me your BB gun. Don't try to upsell me takeout window dudette. Just burgers, don't fuck up. Junior, put on your protector. Get your shoulder pads, knee pads, and hockey puck. Kathy, you can't eat cereal for dinner. Drip salt-free soya sauce on wontons. 10 3/4 pound burgers with plain bun, no mayo, oodles of ketchup. Betty, 5 lovers to stay in father's house. Now, pee in this styrofoam cup. Junior, you can't have an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle because of our budget overrun. Don't try to upsell me takeout window dudette. Just burgers, don't fuck up. Junior, before you eat corn, spread butter and shake salt and bite like a woodchuck. Andersons, every time our family eats together without the cops, we won. Don't try to upsell me takeout window dudette. Just burgers, don't fuck up. 10 3/4 pound burgers with plain bun, no mayo, oodles of ketchup. And that is a poetry form called a villanelle.
Thank you. John figured it out. Yes. The repetition is.
Well, it was either a Pantone or a Villanelle. So
Yeah. I was wondering if you were going for I was wondering if you were going Sistina for half a second. I'm like, no, not the right size of, not the right amount of lines per stanza, but nice work. Thank you, Robert. We have next for one more musical interlude, and he knows he's up next, Mr. Ethan Mackler. Thank you, Ethan. And now we bring ourselves back to Mr. James Van Loy. I just prompted you to unmute, James. I'm not sure if you need more help. You're still muted.
Well, yeah,
I got
There
it.
you go.
Yeah, we were on some other screen. I'm sorry. I was trying to do it.
No worries.
Less is more. Crisis is the great distiller of the extraneous from truth, but it just makes it realer to watch as so many are misled as they cling to a reality already long gone. I hear myself say, it's already happening. A new way of life in the midst of the death of the old. This always happens, always had. And yet we see this clinging to what has died, needed to die, treating change as if it were a conspiracy. The conservatives, supposed agents of saving the traditional, just hasten the change, resisting what is already by fiat done, with a high pressure fire hose of decades of misinformation, all built on hate and lies. You say it must be pure satanic, except they already got monopoly on all those old demonic words, polluting hell, conspiracy, the takeaway, natural gas burners. Oh, afterburner indeed, a prophecy to come. And here's a quick song. 'Tis a gift to be simple. 'Tis a gift to be free. 'Tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is feigned, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, until turning we come round right. And that, of course, is one of the Shakers, a wonderful chants that they used to dance to in place of the fact that they had no sexual lives at all. The Quakers. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And with that, we conclude with the last entry into our open mic round robin, concluding round 2 in the night with Julian Matthews.
Hi, again. Oh. Oldish. You say I'm no spring chicken, and I agree. I'm not even southern fried or roasted. I'm more done and dusted, basted and wasted. I'm not wine to be aged and savored, but more like a pickle or a fruit cake, soaked in vinegar or too much brandy just to make me palatable, not randy. Did you ever think one day I'd be invisible, fading into the already fading wallpaper? Or too visible, occupying too much space in an elevator, a tortoise ambling in on a four-wheel walker? See how they move aside or raise their voices as if I'm deaf, but only slightly, selectively so. Or admire my ability to remember things they forget, like I was 5 again, reciting the alphabet. How they cheer me on like circus monkeys when I croon an old tune or finish my soup. Just an old dog adept at his old tricks, or a toothless crone getting his bone broth fix. Slurp it up, you condescending pricks. I'm not dead yet, not even sick. So you don't have to ask why the fowl crossed the road, or how, when I do, your day will come when you'll be equated to poultry too. They'll call you uncle or auntie or grandpa at your birthday. Do You'll be likened to a drunk stuffed too dry turkey or mushy chicken pulao. Then ask, "Are you done, hon? Can we go now?" Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we have Beaver Badger in the bottom left, or at least my bottom left. And with that, we conclude the round robin for tonight. Thank you guys for coming. Great palate cleanser for the last couple of weeks of features. Next week, I highly recommend you come here and bring a friend. Linda Carney Goodrich is going to be featuring. She was part of my feature last week at the Menino Arts Center, helping to introduce and organize the event. And she read a segment from her book Dot Girl, which I'll be linking when I post the information either tonight or tomorrow. I highly recommend you grab that book. It's pretty phenomenal. It's basically an account of her time, born and raised in Dorchester, and it's a phenomenal book from what I've heard her perform so far. She's going to be doing at least one book party around the area of Boston, but she's coming to Stone Soup virtually next Wednesday on the 27th. Really want you to be there, and hopefully I'll have announcements for the upcoming features for National Poetry Month. Thank you guys very much. Have yourselves an excellent evening. We do the obligatory wave, and hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you had a good St. Patrick's Day weekend, even if it involved hiding. And hope you guys have a good weekend coming up. There's going to be a cold snap where we are. Stay warm. Will be the third and fourth days of spring. Good God. And be safe and let's be productive. Next week, not next week, but next month is National Poetry Month in April. I'll be sharing links on the Stone Soup Facebook page about the NaPoWriMo Challenge. NaPoWriMo means National Poetry Writing Month, which has expanded into GloPoWriMo, the Global Poetry Writing Month. That's been going on since 2005. Well, actually, I think I've been participating since 2005. I think it was also done in previous years founded by Maureen Thorson. And she has a website that offers you resources, a place to link your blog if you want to use that, and offers daily writing prompts as well as other graphics that you might want to grace your blogs with. It's a very blog-heavy thing, and if you guys want to share your work on the Stone Soup Facebook page, I would not object to that. Otherwise, more updates will come. Have yourselves an excellent evening and take care of yourselves. The show's over. See you next time.